Tonight, sackings and U-turns. Kwasi Kwarteng is fired as Chancellor as Liz Truss changes her economic plans again.
The way we are delivering our mission right now has to change.
She should go instantly. I think we should give her some more time to prove herself for all the promises she has made.
We're live from Westminster as the Prime Minister tries to take back control. Also making the headlines, 10,000 postal workers fear for their future. Royal Mail is blaming strikes and pay disputes for its falling fortunes.
In sport, Ange hits back. The Celtic manager defends their European efforts despite their Champions League exit.
And I'll be in the most famous village in Soapland as Emmerdale turns 50.
I'm Vanessa Kennedy in Edinburgh.
And I'm John Mackay in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. In the space of a few hours, the Prime Minister sacked her Chancellor and ditched one of her key economic policies. In a day of turmoil, Liz Truss reversed planned cuts to corporation tax.
The Prime Minister admitted parts of her mini-budget went further and faster than the markets had expected, but she insisted she was staying on at number 10. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie.
Just 38 days after his appointment, Kwasi Kwarteng flew back early from Washington to be sacked. In a letter to the Prime Minister, he wrote, "You have asked me to stand aside as Chancellor. I have accepted." He went on to say, "Your vision of optimism, growth and change was right." He then left Downing Street before the Prime Minister, in a brief statement, reversed another of her key policies.
It is clear that parts of our mini-budget went further and faster than markets were expecting. So the way we are delivering our mission right now has to change. We need to act now to reassure the markets of our fiscal discipline. I have therefore decided to keep the increase in corporation tax that was planned by the previous government.
Less than 24 hours before his sacking, Mr Kwarteng had appeared confident his position was safe.
Absolutely 100%. I'm not going anywhere.
Liz Truss appointed Jeremy Hunt his replacement, the fourth Chancellor in just over 3 months.
She had already shown herself to be completely out of her depth as Prime Minister. As of today, she is also a lame duck Prime Minister. The sooner she goes and the sooner people get the chance to get rid of this Tory government that is doing so much damage once and for all, the better.
The Conservative Scottish leader had previously backed the tax-cutting plans.
I presumed that more had been done behind the scenes to prepare the markets, to make sure all the sums added up, and the Prime Minister herself has accepted that didn't happen. And it's right, therefore, that she has altered what the plans were and has brought in a new Chancellor to hopefully restore confidence to drive forward the growth that we can make in the economy.
Patience among some voters is running thin.
She's not doing very well, so it might be better to step aside, get someone else in, I think.
She should go instantly. I think we should give her some more time to prove herself for all the promises she has made.
Thank you very much, everybody.
She may be aiming for stability, but the Prime Minister left with serious questions over her own future. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
Let's go now to our Westminster correspondent, Catherine Sampson. And Catherine, 24 hours is a long time in politics.
Yes, look, I said last night things can move extremely fast here at Westminster, but, wow, the shifts here have really been seismic overnight. You see Kwasi Kwarteng becoming the second shortest serving Chancellor in UK history. You see then the Prime Minister holding, in my memory, one of the shortest ever press conferences. It only lasted around 8 minutes today. She only took 4 questions from members of the media, and she left the stage to shouts of, "Are you out of your depth? Are you going to say sorry?" Now, clearly what Liz Truss was trying to do today was steady the ship, perhaps by making another U-turn there in corporation tax. It helps with the markets, but politically she is still on very shaky ground, especially judging by the reaction of Conservative MPs after that press conference this afternoon. You know, I messaged one senior Tory MP today, can Liz Truss survive this? He replied with just one word, nope. And there's others who agree too that the party may have to take the nuclear option. They may have to act to oust her. Now, that is not something that is easy. It could involve a rule change. It's not something that's quick either. But, you know, you get the sense discussions are underway. There's not agreement, though, on whether that necessarily would even mean an early general election. Now, Liz Truss does seem determined to continue, determined to reset tonight. The Deputy Prime Minister has been on a phone call with Tory MPs trying to reassure them further. I think the basic issue, though, is, you know, we didn't hear today from Liz Truss why, if Kwasi Kwarteng had to go, she should stay, given that they shared an economic policy together. So she clearly has a lot of work to do with her new Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, to convince MPs, to convince the country. I think you get the sense, you know, things are going to have to move quite quickly to do that, because there have been times today she felt a bit like a Prime Minister still in office, but not necessarily in power.
Catherine at Westminster, thank you.
10,000 jobs across the UK are under threat at Royal Mail. The company says it's expecting to make a £350 million operating loss this year. It's blaming the financial hit on strikes and warns more jobs could go if industrial action continues. Well, Vanessa Taff joins us now. Vanessa, a huge number of people worrying about their future tonight at Royal Mail.
Yes, absolutely. Workers we've been speaking to today say they heard about these potential cuts on the news this morning and they had no idea that their jobs were on the line. Royal Mail say this move to cut 10,000 jobs, 6,000 of which will be through redundancy, is in response to strike action, delivery delays and fewer parcels being sent. But workers are adamant that unless the Royal Mail bosses come and sit around the table with them, there will be further strike action.
To be honest, I think it's reckless. I do think it's part of an orchestrated plan to decimate the Royal Mail service and business. We have repeatedly, and we called today for a meeting with the board immediately to actually look at trying to move the whole situation forward.
And Vanessa, away from Royal Mail, there's further disruption to rail travel.
Yes, well, there haven't been any breakthrough between ScotRail and the RMT union over those pay negotiations that brought the network to a standstill, you'll remember there, at the start of the week. Now, while there aren't any strike dates in the diary at the moment, employees are working to rule by refusing to do any overtime. Now, ScotRail say because of this, disruption is expected and that could mean some last-minute cancellations. So the advice, if you are travelling this weekend, is to check before you do so.
OK, Vanessa in Glasgow, thank you. And some sad news just coming in. The actor, comedian and writer Robbie Coltrane has died at the age of 72. Well, our senior reporter Gordon Cree is here. And Gordon, a terrible loss of such a big Scottish name.
Yes, sad news. As you say, he was one of the most instantly recognisable Scottish faces in acting. He was born in Rutherglen, educated in Glasgow and Edinburgh, started out as a stand-up comedian, in fact. His big breaks came in the 80s with the comic strip and Tutti Frutti, alongside people like Emma Thompson and Fry and Laurie. And in fact, Stephen Fry has tweeted just in the last few minutes saying he first met Robbie Coltrane almost exactly 40 years ago. He says he'll be dreadfully missed. He then, of course, in the 90s was in Cracker as a forensic psychologist and won 3 consecutive BAFTAs for that before going on to be Hagrid in Harry Potter, bringing him to a whole new generation. He died this afternoon at the Forth Valley Royal Hospital in Larbert and leaves behind 2 children, Spencer and Alice.
OK, Gordon, thanks for that.
Support workers helping women affected by addiction and domestic violence say a new specialist service is quickly becoming a lifeline. A Lanarkshire charity has only been working with Women's Aid for 5 months and they're dealing with a growing caseload. Sorcia is just one of 120 services across Scotland benefiting from a fund that supported nearly 20,000 women and girls so far this year. Our chief reporter Sharon Frew has been speaking to those involved.
Activities to help calm the mind away from the chaos at home. Just one part of a wide-ranging service developed by those who understand the complexities of domestic violence and substance abuse.
It's absolutely terrifying, especially if there's children involved. There's that fear of social work, and it is a big barrier for women getting into recovery and also seeking help.
Gillian now refers women for this tailored support that didn't exist when she sought help.
This time 3 years ago, I was in a psychiatric ward and never believed that I could change my life. I never believed that it was possible. I knew I didn't want to die, but I didn't know how I was going to live either. And coming to places and getting involved in developing programmes and developing groups definitely strengthened my recovery.
This is a partnership between two different organisations that for years needed to refer women with more complex lives elsewhere.
As a new project, it's lifted off really quickly. Support workers that work through Sorcia projects are working with robust caseloads already. And we've got women that are not just engaged, but they are consistently engaged in the programme of support.
We save on resources, we prevent duplication, but the most important thing is that the woman just needs the one door. They come through the one door and they don't have to be re-referred to another service, because each time a woman is told we have to refer you on to someone else, they internalise that as a failure. It really should be about services responding to the need.
121 projects like this have benefited from awards from the Delivering Equally Safe Fund in the last 6 months.
I was hearing from some of the women, they came through the door for one thing. Once they built up that trust and comfort and this felt safe, they were able to then express some of the other challenges that they were experiencing in their life, and the services were then ready to click into place to support them. And that's where that woman said this was a lifeline.
The cost of living crisis and the pressure it places on those already living in abusive households is an added concern. Staff are looking at additional ways to provide financial help this winter. In the meantime, this service continues to offer women and their families vital survival techniques. Sharon Frew, STV News, Blantyre.
And details of domestic abuse help can be found online at safer.scot.
Other stories across Scotland, and a man who set fire to Glasgow's third oldest Catholic church has been jailed for more than 5 years after pleading guilty. 26-year-old Ryan Haggerty started the blaze at St Simon's in Partick last July. The High Court heard it would cost several £1 million to restore the 19th century building.
Road closures remain in Rutherglen after a fire tore through a former council building. Emergency services were called to King Street last night. Several families were evacuated from their homes as a precaution.
Women prisoners will soon be moving into a new community custody centre in Glasgow's Mary Hill as the Scottish Prison Service changes its approach to jails. Women will be encouraged to manage their own reintegration through community contact and access to local services.
We have a strategy for women in custody which is built around two particular pillars. One is that everything we do should be gender specific to the needs of women, and the second is that everything we do should be fully trauma informed. So the facilities are very much designed to have I suppose more of a domestic atmosphere, to be less institutional, and to make sure that we can support the individual needs and risks of women in our care.
A Glasgow homeless charity is appealing for help to find an indoor space for its soup kitchen. Homeless Project Scotland serves hot meals underneath Central Station, as Susan Ripple reports.
450 litres of food will be served at this soup kitchen in Glasgow this evening. It's open 3 nights a week, exposed to the elements under Central Station. The charity which runs it is desperately trying to secure an indoor space instead.
Maybe warmer. You sit down at the table and talk to people and meet new friends. And I think the way it's going now, I think the way it should be better to get some place like that.
Glasgow City Council has offered Homeless Project Scotland 2 properties, but the charity's turned them down because they're too expensive to run and not suitable for its needs.
If we rented a property today, by the time we paid our heating and electric bill for that property today and the rent, what money would we be feeding people with? We're looking for a building that's about maybe between 5 and 10,000 square foot. We're looking for something that's preferably got a kitchen, and we can bring people in and we can open that building 24/7, and it's a welfare centre. It's not a temporary heating centre that's open so many hours a day.
They would be safe, they'd be comfortable, and they'd be warm and cosy if they had a building.
And it's not just about the weather. There are 49 volunteers helping here tonight, and there's been concerns about their safety too.
Especially Friday nights, it's obviously getting to times where people are out and maybe a little bit drunk, and it can cause some problems then. A lot of aggression coming past us at the soup kitchen. The police are called in quite often. Obviously we don't really want the police to have to come here. It's uncomfortable for our service users as well. So it's something we do experience quite regularly.
The charity's calling for Glasgow City Council to do more to help. The local authority declined the offer to do an interview with STV News, but in a statement it says it'll continue working with the organisation, but it has limits to the number of buildings at its disposal. Susan Ripple, STV News, Glasgow.
Now here's Rahman with the sport.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sport, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Good evening. Ange Postecoglou has defended Celtic's performances in the Champions League, saying anyone questioning their place in the competition has an agenda or bias. The Parkhead side returned to Europe's top table for the first time in 5 years. They've taken 1 point from 4 games. Ronnie Charters has more.
Back at Lennoxtown this morning, Ange Postecoglou was putting his players through their paces ahead of the visit of Hibs. The fixture comes after the 2-0 loss to RB Leipzig in the Champions League midweek, resulting in their exit from the competition. After 3 defeats in 4 in Europe's top tier, today the Parkhead boss launched a strong defence of his team's efforts.
If anyone can tell me in the 4 games we've played that we don't deserve to be there, or we've been outplayed, or we've looked out of place, then I reckon they're talking from an agenda or from some sort of bias, because the only questions I've had after each of our games is about opportunities missed. The opportunities missed suggests to me that we've got to improve some areas, for sure, 100%. But no, it doesn't say to me that we somehow should think that we don't belong in a competition that we've earned the right to be in.
The Celtic manager insists his side will improve in the Champions League the more exposure they have in the competition. Cameron Carter-Vickers is one of many players experiencing this level for the first time.
I mean, I think we're fairly close. I think kind of in all the games so far we've competed pretty well. You could probably say maybe that last little bit we need to improve, but yeah, you know, it's our first time in this competition as a squad, and something that we're going to have to learn and try and improve on.
With Rangers not in action until Sunday, Celtic can go 5 clear at the top when they welcome Hibs tomorrow, but they'll have to do so without Jota, David Turnbull and Stephen Welsh, who are ruled out through injury. Ronnie Charters, STV News.
Motherwell's captain says it's delusional to think they will get an easier ride against Rangers after their thrashing by Liverpool. The Steelmen sit 7th in the table and they are looking for their first league win at home over the Ibrox club in 20 years.
Like even seeing the Champions League games the other night, if they take their chances, and it's different games, so they're going to have chances. The defence, the goalkeeper's going to need to be good. That's always the same when you play against Old Firm, and we're no naive or delusional because Champions League results haven't went their way that it's going to be an easy game for us. No, it's the toughest game of the season for us, and we know that.
Tomorrow, St Mirren hosts Kilmarnock. Saints manager Stephen Robinson believes his team can go on another good run. His opposite number, Derek McInnes, is hoping his side can record their first league win away from home this season.
We believe we've got 5 games coming up now where we can get points from, and we want to go on that run. We want to make St Mirren a really hard place for people to come to. We want to keep doing what we're doing. We don't need to change a lot. We just need to be better at certain aspects of what we've done last week.
We feel that this week's a significant week for us. We've got two home games after this, one in the Cup, and then Ross County here next Saturday. So we're hoping that we can be, if we can get 2 league wins and a semi-final place booked in the Cup.
And that, folks, is all your sport this Friday night.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sport, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Philip has the weekend weather.
The outlook for the day is calm and settled. TUI Blue Hotels sponsor STV Weather.
Well, at the moment, today's band of showery rain has cleared eastwards, and we're still seeing one or two isolated scattered showers around across western parts, but eventually those will start to fizzle out. And then for many of us, to begin the evening, it will be a dry and clear night to come. That will allow temperatures to drop away quite quickly. A chilly start to the night. Around midnight, though, we do start to see the cloud building in from the west associated with this frontal system that's moving in, and that's bringing with it this band of showery rain that will be quite heavy at times. So temperature-wise, reaching our minimum early on when we've got the clear skies, some rural spots getting below freezing, and then the temperatures will continue to climb as the wind, the rain and the cloud come through. Looking ahead to tomorrow morning, and that band of rain will move north and eastwards, and then we've got a brief sunny interlude first thing before an afternoon of a mixture of sunshine and further scattered showers spreading in from the south and west. Temperature-wise, a little disappointing, below average for the time of year, highs of around 11 or 12 degrees Celsius. Looking ahead to Sunday, though, and overall it will be a much nicer day. There is still a bit of cloud and one or two showers around first thing, but eventually those showers will become confined mostly to the north. Through the afternoon, things turning a lot drier and brighter with lighter winds and temperatures reaching highs of 11 or 12 degrees Celsius once again. Bye-bye.
TUI Blue Hotels sponsor STV Weather.
One of the most popular shows on STV is celebrating a big birthday this weekend. After more than 8,000 episodes, Emmerdale is turning 50.
It is. The Yorkshire soap, trying to say it, been on our screen since 1972. Polly Bartlett has been taking a look through the archives.
Emmerdale, or Emmerdale Farm as it was known back then, first appeared on our screens in 1972.
No point holding grudges against dead.
The sleepy farming saga was only supposed to last 3 months, but it quickly became one of the biggest shows in television. With 18 million of us tuning in to the plane crash episode in 1993. Since then, there have been 74 weddings, 43 births and 105 deaths. And as the show reaches 50, expect lots more drama to keep us gripped.
Scoff this! The stories, I think, are getting quite dramatic. There's the dramatic licence has got larger, which I'm loving. And maybe now that we've moved to 7:30 as well, it's going to get larger still.
Polly, come in!
Hi!
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Cafe Main Street.
The cast and crew now split their time between the main studio in Leeds and the village 40 minutes away in the Yorkshire Dales. And because it's filmed 8 weeks in advance, at the moment in Emmerdale, it's Christmas.
I think it's a show that's got a lot of comedy. It's got a lot of drama. You know, it touches people's hearts. They love the characters. People like the fresh air, don't they? Some people say, you know, it's the only fresh air I get. Bit of Emmerdale, because we've got that amazing village set.
Well, this might not be how Emmerdale as you know it looks, but this is obviously where it's filmed. We've got the Hyde behind me, Mill Cottage on my right and the cafe on my left. And this is where the cast and crew come and film 6 episodes a week.
When I joined, I think they'd moved to 3 episodes, so everyone was like, "Ooh, what a workload." I mean, now we've got 6 episodes a week we put out. So in that sense, the schedule's got a lot busier, more cast.
Daisy Campbell joined the cast when she was 7.
Say Jesus!
I think it's so iconic. Like, there's so much. We've done every single storyline. I think I don't know what else we've got to do now, but it's just so iconic. And I think we have so many iconic families and cast, and amazing crew. So I feel like we're just the best soap, if I do say myself. But yeah, it's a great show to be part of, and it's like a family as well, which is nice.
It's all about pulling together, and that, you know, it's like any job. When it's going well, you know, everyone's happy, smiles and things, and when it's going tough, that's when you really notice the close relationships you have with everyone. Get me out! I think the thing about soap is it's a constant. In this world of chaos, it's a comfort and a constant for people, isn't it? So long may they reign.
5 decades ago, Emmerdale started as a sleepy daytime farming series. Since then, it's become the award-winning, ratings-busting, peak-time drama that it is today. Over the years, Emmerdale has transformed to reflect the changing lives and appetites of its loyal audience. So here's the next 50 years. Polly Bartlett, STV News, Emmerdale.
A great Yorkshire soap.
I think you've been drinking what she's drinking.
Good night from all of us. Bye-bye.